Welcome to the Catherine Vandome and Me podcast.
Hashtag hosts and the HQFM quiz and bingo software are proud to sponsor the Catherine Vandome and Me podcast. With HQFM quiz and bingo software, you can use this interactive quiz software at any venue. All you need is an internet connection. Go to hashtagquiz.co.uk for your free trial today.
Hello and welcome to Catherine Vandome and Me. And today I'm joined by a wonderful guest who is a certified life and nutrition coach and also a health and wellness specialist. It gives me great pleasure to introduce today Ellie Clarke. Hello, Ellie. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure, Ellie. And I love your backdrop. My goodness. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that, first of all, Ellie?
I've gone fully all out green here, haven't I? So green is our branding colours because for me, health embraces outdoors and natural, and, you know, everything nutrition I do is natural. So hence me going all green.
Fantastic. The backdrop looks amazing, and you do as well, Ellie, and it's a pleasure to have you on today. And do you want to say, first of all, a little bit about who you are, what you do, and then we're going to go back in time and hear all about you. Now, first of all, I've got a little wriggly hamster here. My co-guest is Tinker. He just wants to say hello to you. He's noticed the green. So do you want to just give him a little wave there, Ellie, and say hi to
Tinker?
There we go. He's joining us on every single podcast and he's wriggling at the moment. I think he wants to get down. So there you go, Tinks. And so that's our little Tinker. He'll be watching you today and enjoying every minute of what you're sharing with us. Now, you are a health and wellness specialist and you have multiple skill sets, Ellie, as well, which is fantastic. And obviously we first met, if you want to share where we first met and what brought you here today, and again, a little bit about what you do.
Absolutely. Well, we met at the last wellness show that I did. I did the first one back in February with the idea being to bring together local experts in the wellness industry to show as many people as possible on the Fylde Coast what is out there available to them, to up their mental health, to up their physical health, to up their energy. So it was going to be a one-off show. It's one of those things we thought we'll just do another and then just do another. And it's grown from there. So obviously it was meeting you when I was doing my talk, which was about how simple it is to boost your health. And that is my passion, is to show predominantly women how you can just use very simple powers of nutrition and mindset to transform your energy, to look and feel younger, to reset your gut health, to boost your fitness. That can all lead to, it can lead to better relationships, better success in business, better everything. It's quite exciting when you see from taking a couple of little initial steps, how far that can take people, to the point that one of my clients actually changed careers by the end of our working together.
Wow, that's great, Ellie.
That was my plan. I wasn't planning on making them quit their job, but it happened. They went off to something they'd always wanted to do.
What I hear you're saying is that people come to you, they do a program of health and fitness, and you sort of time that to what their needs are, and nutrition advice, of course, as well. And it kind of empowers. Is it empowering people to then take control of all other aspects of the life, as well as the diet and nutrition, and potentially then move on to bigger and brighter careers and things they always wanted to do? Is that right?
It is. It's quite fun because mostly people come to me for weight loss, and they come to me because there's lots of them say they've tried everything. They've tried all the diets, and it's like, brilliant. Because of that hasn't worked. We don't do diets anymore. We're not going to talk about weight loss. The weight loss will happen as a result of everything else we'll do. But yeah, I genuinely never know which direction I'll go in, which is why I find it so much fun. So someone I'm working with who would never have dreamed of setting foot in the gym, in their 50s, now doing like weightlifting, strength training, and they just said it's so empowering. I mean, they said they've still got absolutely no balance. They've got a long way to go. This is literally like a couple of months in, that just tiny changes can empower so many different directions.
That's incredible. And you know, a little bit about you, Ellie. What sort of brought you into that, just briefly before we go back in time fully? What brought you into this health and wellness area that you're an expert in?
Well, I'm a self-confessed science geek, all my background science, but I somehow, I don't know how it happened, I somehow ended up as a primary school teacher for 12 years. And within that, I was constantly watching a lot of staff struggle with mental and physical health, and struggling with diets, because it's a very emotionally and physically demanding role. But on top of that, even kids as young as 5 whose teeth were already rotting out at the age of 5, I had, you know, kids with black teeth. And I just thought, there are ways I can help these people that if I step out of this role and step in from a different angle.
Wow. Well, that in itself is very inspiring, Ellie, because it's not something that everybody can do or has the courage to do. It takes a lot of courage to go from a proper routine and structured life, as teaching is, and jump into something, basically into the unknown. So you've taken that leap of faith, and how wonderful that you did, Ellie, because how many other people's lives are you quite literally saving in so many ways, and empowering people to basically take that control back of their own lives. And I think that's just incredible. So, and that was the reason I wanted to bring you on today, meeting you at the wellness event, hearing all about you and your wealth of talents and skills as well. And like many experts in health, you have a list as long as your arm of what you can actually do and embody, and how you can support people. But that's fantastic. So your unique USP, Ellie, you tell us what your unique USP is, and why people perhaps might be drawn to come to yourself in particular, Ellie.
It is really well, I sometimes call it the anti-diet. It's that all these people have thought that dieting is a solution to weight loss and to their confidence, and that if they do a diet they'll be happier and they'll be better, and actually it's not. So my thing is the anti-diet, that we stop diets and that we eat enjoyable. I mean, I'm always eating, building a positive relationship of enjoying food and enjoying the effects that the right food can have on your life as a whole.
Oh, that's incredible, Ellie. That's absolutely incredible. And I see behind you, because I want to talk about that backdrop. Just read out what it says there. It says boosting.
We've got fat loss, energy, moods, anti-aging, sleep, fitness, gut health, lean muscle, heart health, and confidence. Oh, and I put at the bottom, you can't see, let's start now.
Oh, I like that, and I'm following you on your socials now as well. And I love that you dip in very regularly, almost daily, I think daily, to encourage people, even people who are just reading about you, you know, not just the ones you're training with, but you're dipping into socials every day. I see you at 5:30 in the morning in the gym. Tell me a little bit about that, Ellie.
Yeah, a few people think I'm a bit crazy for doing that, and they say, how do you do it? But it's actually the other way around. If I didn't go at that time of morning, I wouldn't go. I do have quite a busy life, same as you and everybody else. So yeah, if I get up then, I go and do a good hour at the gym. It boosts my energy, it boosts my moods, it boosts my focus. There's the same faces at the gym every day, so it's this lovely, like, warm, positive energy to start my day. I do bits of work between sets, so by the time I've got home, I've actually got a load of work ticked off as well. And on the days that I don't go, I mean, I have days off, but if I just didn't go on a normal day, I've seen the effects of how that makes me feel, and especially in terms of mental health, you just feel just lower.
Can you just tell me what you will have then before you go to the gym? Did you say you have a little pick-me-up, like a banana or something?
So sometimes I'll have a banana, and I'll either have, like, I've got a healthy pre-gym drink, Or I've got some amazing little, don't know if you can see these there. It's like a green tea botanical shot. So it's a
Okay.
natural energy boost. So while I'm very big on everything being like whole foods, there are certain little supplements that you can help with.
Okay.
So, but I'll have my actual breakfast after the gym.
Right. And what I want to know is, what will you have, Ellie, as an inspirational nutrition coach? What will you eat for your breakfast on a standard day after you've been to the gym?
So most days I'll have rye toast, you know, the heavy rectangular, proper rye toast, eggs, sometimes a little bit of smoked salmon in it, and slightly randomly broccoli on the side. And a client got me into that.
Wow. Tell me a bit more about that and why.
Well, I used to have like tomatoes and mushrooms and things on the side, and I'm a big fan of broccoli anyway because it's packed with good nutrition. Yeah, and a client said they had it with their breakfast, so I tried it once. Well, it's 2 minutes in the microwave, isn't it? So it's a really easy way when people are saying, you know, I need to get extra veg in, have it with your breakfast.
Good
Or
idea.
sometimes I've actually got my lunch ready here. The other option that I have either for breakfast or sometimes for lunch is I've got an amazing macrobalanced chocolate shake that I put with chia seeds and frozen blueberries. So at the moment, it's the chia seeds are soaking up the liquid ready for lunch, and the frozen blueberries will be defrosted by lunch, and it's basically like having a chocolate pudding.
Yes. Yeah. Delicious.
Yeah.
Absolutely delicious. And
Yeah.
is that cacao powder that I see as your chocolate substitute?
It's actually a macrobalanced shake, so it's got protein, enzymes, probiotics, everything.
Brilliant.
So it's a bit of a cheat, that one, but it's a good cheat.
Well, I was going to say, the thing is, Ellie, we talk about cheats and things when we are following a particular diet, but actually you've got to remember that the majority of people have already got into the routine that I lived my life in, which is the Western standard diet. So to the average person, that just seems like some magical potion. And so what we want to do is sort of encourage people, as you quite rightly said on this channel, to make these lifestyle changes and brand new choices and make them a rhythm. And that's certainly something that I did in my recovery journey as well, looking at nutrition so intensively to ensure that, for me personally, I swapped a cereal package breakfast, of which often I'd have that breakfast, dinner and tea at times when I was really running 3 businesses and going crazy with work. And what I had to do was start from the very beginning, and just like in The Sound of Music, and literally refocus, as you have done as well, breakfast, dinner and tea, or breakfast, lunch and dinner, however we term it. And for me personally, I have a huge smoothie for breakfast. I was inspired by Rich Roll, who is a podcaster in America. He also collapsed age 39 like I did, for different reasons to myself, but he became an ultra marathon runner, and he personally is vegan. So what works for him is that. And he inspired me greatly. So he will have a green shake, and then, like you going to the gym at 5:30 and doing a big burnout workout, he would go running long distance and do all of that, which is just incredible. And he turned his life around, as you have done and as I am doing. And I think these things are, if we're not kind of forced to do them, sometimes we don't choose to do them, and often it is a sickness or something that besets us that makes us wake up and say, I don't want to choose these lifestyle choices anymore. I want to start again, and how can I take back control of my life? Is that kind of what you're all about, Ellie?
Yeah, I think sometimes people wait for motivation. That's not a thing. You don't wait for motivation. The brain likes what's familiar. The brain is set up to make your life easy. And what is easy is what you've always done, because it doesn't have to think so much. So the motivation happens after you have taken those first steps and realized the benefits of them. And that's when the motivation comes to make you take it further. And with that, some people have blocks to particular choices. I'm going to be fully honest, I was completely against shakes initially. And then I thought, well, I kind of put some protein shakes sometimes in my drink. And then because I'd worked with people like nurses, really busy lives, actually it came down to, I've researched to find some really good shake choices as an option. If it comes down to that, or grabbing something out the vending machine for their lunch,
Yeah.
or a McDonald's, well, actually, yes, we'd all rather have a nice, balanced plate with chicken and veg and everything, but that's not always real life. It's being aware that being healthy doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be expensive. Quite often I find I save people money because they go, oh, I can't afford to do this right now. And actually, a lot of people could afford to join my transformation programs and still save money because of the nutrition changes we'll make. Because the fast food choices are crazy expensive. I think like just 6 McDonald's chicken nuggets now, not a meal, just the nuggets, is something like £4.60 just for that. I worked out you can make a 5-person dish of bolognese, 5 portions for £6, just over £6.
Wow. So what I'm hearing you say, Ellie, is we are almost conditioned to go straight to the fast, easy options of, as you say, whatever brand.
Options.
Yeah, and we are told that it's more expensive to eat nutritional, wholesome food products than it is, to reach for the packaged foods. And that, of course, keeps people unhealthy. It keeps them unmotivated, perhaps. It keeps them sick. And what you're saying is actually it's not fully true. There are such expensive processed food products that are doing nothing. In fact, they're damaging the gut intestine instead of replenishing. And what we need, I'm sure you're aware, this is your expertise, but what we need is proper cell repairing, gut biome healing and restoring food products, which predominantly comes from vegetables, even more so than fruit. So for me personally, for my daily breakfast now, instead of having bran flakes that's got about 4 to 6 teaspoons of sugar, which I didn't know, so I thought I was eating healthily, I've genuinely swapped on a daily basis, and I make my smoothies with support here from scratch. So I will have ginger, carrots, beetroot. Beetroot's very good, as you know, for the gallbladder, because I have gallbladder issues with ME.
Spinach is good in a smoothie.
Absolutely. We have spinach in there. We have all these different choices, and it's colourful. And then I'll put cacao powder, coconut shavings, and then a teaspoon of coconut oil, which my little dog Tinker, I feed him a teaspoon of coconut oil every day. And I also have that, which is great for everything. You name a health condition, wound healing. I use it as face cream. And so coconut oil is just incredible. You can clean your teeth with it, all these different magical components. So what I love about what you're sharing is it's getting, if you like, motivated and into the routine. Now, you are a motivated person, and I am that type of personality. How, Ellie, would you motivate somebody? Because I don't think it's enough to just say you've got to motivate yourself. I was unaware of the detrimental health circumstances that I was finding from food products. But I had to learn and research when I was bedbound, and that's what got me to where I am today. But how would you motivate somebody that's fast paced, like I was and you are today, who is racing around doing a primary school job like you are? Oh, I don't have time. I grab something quick at lunch because the children matter most, which I also was a teacher for 10 years, and that was my priority too. So how, Ellie, could you today lift people's moods and mindsets to be drawn to come to you for that support, but also independently? How could they make those changes?
They need to be ready for change first, because as a coach, you wouldn't work with anyone who wasn't ready for change. However, you get people who come to you and they're ready for change, but then they come up with those barriers. And it's nearly like practiced behavior, isn't it, to say I'm too busy? I mean, we all do it. We all say I'm too busy, I don't have money. It's just, I don't know if it's a British thing, but it's what we say. So then it's actually making them look into it a bit. So people will say they don't have time to make eggs for breakfast. I have to start my toast a few minutes before I start the egg because scrambled egg is so quick to cook.
Yeah.
So the people who say they don't have time to make eggs, a lot of them have time to make toast. So it's actually out the two, the eggs is the quick choice. And if you just had the eggs as an omelette, even better because that's your protein. And other things, people will go, oh, I don't have time to make lunch. Well, there's really quick options. I can show you options which take a bit longer, but you get the 2-minute kind of couscous, rice, quinoa packs. Just chuck it in a tub and chuck some ready cooked chicken in. If you haven't done the shopping, that's where things like the shake come in. Have something in the cupboard as backup. Have some oats. I mean, oats cost something like 4p a portion. Put water in, put some cocoa in, whatever you've got in the cupboard, make some overnight oats. There's always an option that will take approximately 10 seconds. And those same people, if you go, okay, have you been on your phone this morning? You've been on Facebook this morning. Have you sat and watched telly? Have you, and just getting them to challenge their own barriers. And the other one I did with my group last week is I said, we don't use the word excuses. So if you feel you're making an excuse for something, reframe that to challenges. So at the moment, I'm on a bit of a trying to build lean muscle mission. I can lose weight easy. I can help anyone lose weight. But I am an ectomorph, which is the most difficult body type, as you'll know, to gain muscle. I can lift increasingly heavy weights without gaining the muscle. You can't see it. I'm in my 40s. I'm female. There's articles out there that say women in their 30s, 40s plus can't build muscle. There's articles that say ectomorphs can't really build muscle. It's like, that's not an excuse. Right, this is a challenge.
Yes.
I'm on it. I'll let you know how it goes.
I think what's great about you is you are so inspiring because you take the challenge and you grab it with both hands. And what I'm asking today is, how do people get from what I call A to B? How do they get from that sitting on the settee and in the rhythm of what they've been used to, which is habits? I call it breaking habits, breaking old cycles. And I say this in my book, breaking patterns and having to relearn. And my motivation obviously was, I'm not going to survive if I don't make these changes. And many people's motivations to change their health is often encompassed or started by something like that. But you're saying, and you're in your 40s, and that's incredible. I think anyone watching today is going to say there is no way. And when I met you, I thought you were early 20s. So Ellie, you look beautiful and you look radiant. So your hair, of course, we've got to look at texture of hair and things like that. Your vitality, I'm sure, is your nails grow longer, hair becomes thicker, stronger, doesn't fall out, those types of benefits when you've got a very, very good packed nutritional diet. I'm 50 and I've got very few grey hairs, but I notice when I do re-add a bit of sugar, because I've been doing tests over the last 11 years, I've used myself as a guinea pig so I could quantify whether or not I was telling the truth about diet, and you're backing me up with your incredible journey as well. And it is true, isn't it? It's if you're in your 40s and I'm 50 and we're seeing those incredible benefits. I've got whiter teeth and I don't have to go to a dentist anymore. These are huge changes. When I collapsed, I had 4 teeth removed. So these are enormous changes. I mean, you tell me a bit more about that, Ellie.
I mean, rewinding back to where you started with that, for the people who were stuck getting going, you're absolutely right. You need the why, because you were saying you had the why. And the why is such a personal thing, because some people it might be that they want to keep up with the grandchildren a bit more. Some people it might be that they want to set the example for their children. Some people it might be because I want to feel confident on holiday next year. But yeah, you need the why. You need to stay focused on the why. And then you need to realise that it is not a huge wall to get there. So I'm kind of rewinding back to you a bit before, but everyone has some kind of good nutrition knowledge, and everyone has probably got some good habits in there. So I'll meet some people, they think they're way off track, and it's like, oh, but you said you like yogurt. And it's like, brilliant, you like yogurt, that's about 15 grams of protein if we start the day with a yogurt. You can pick it up and eat it on the way out the door even, it's an on the go. So it's saying, what are you already doing? If they like KFC, great, that's a source of protein. Let's start with that, and then let's think, how can we make your own version of KFC? And it's just going like, it's finding what I would call the bright spots, because everybody, however unhealthy they think they are, will have those bright spots. Maybe they've got a dog and they go for a walk twice a day. Brilliant. You're getting out there, you're looking after your heart. Let's get some protein in when you get home.
Fantastic. So what I hear you saying is, and actually that's really interesting because I can really relate to that on my own recovery journey. We started substituting pizza base with chickpea, I think it was a chickpea sort of base of a pizza, because our bodies have got used to eating a takeaway, gluten-free, of course, with ME. We struggle with gluten predominantly in the ME community, but in fact, most people do, I think, today, and perhaps not aware of it. So we started introducing a chickpea base and then putting our own tomatoes and pineapples on. Of course, things in a tin to start with, and then you start realising, well, actually, fresh produce is even better. But if you start with replacing, as you just said, replacing your chicken nuggets, let's say, if that's your habit, because very hard to break habits. That's the key to what I hear you're saying. So you're allowing, through your particular program, Ellie, instead of this enormous shift where people just crumble and they just can't do it because it's too overwhelming, I've obviously had a long time to be able to slowly make those substitutions. And I do say in my book, there were moments where Mark Singleton, my partner that you've met, he's also a healing practitioner, but there were days in this process where we both stripped the shelves of Easter eggs and we had those moments where we said, we can't take this anymore, we're just going to eat all of this, and then we saw the repercussions from that. So we are not perfect, and human beings are not perfect, and I love that embodies what you do. You're boosting all of these fantastic ideas with your products and your personality and your business, but you're not saying, come to me and I'm going to change you. You're saying, come to me and you're going to change yourself. Is that right?
It is, and absolutely not about being perfect. I think you've kind of also hit the nail on the head, and I'm the same with, once you go down that health path and then you have something, like I hardly eat refined sugar. It's pretty much not in my diet, but this time of year, it happens a little bit, or you might have a couple of drinks. And actually, if I have like more than 3 drinks, I look older, I feel older. The bit of sugar, actually, I got calf sore throat last week, and I was thinking, actually, compared to, a lot of people might look at what I'm eating and go, that's really healthy, but actually it was not my usual. Yeah. And you really start to notice what you were doing to yourself previously.
Yeah, our body keeps score, as they say. So basically what I hear you're saying, and Mark and I have both found this on our journeys, is when we now reintroduce a little bit of what we used to call fun, a tiny bit of gluten-free, even cacao, even the alternative, the natural product based with a little bit of sugar inside, we feel terrible. It kind of burns my mouth. And it's interesting that when you eventually strip away all the products that are unhealthy, your body will then let you know. So I call it a magic superpower that we have, Ellie, where your body will actually react to something that is toxic, because these are toxic products. Sugar is highly toxic, toxic.
This is where people need to redefine the word treat, because actually I'm not a mum, so I'm not going to for a second say, how anyone should, or what people should do as a mum. But we grew up that a treat was something that was actually bad for our health. So it's like, well done, let's do something that's negative for your health. So I've got one friend, and I thought this was brilliant. She said what they do, they don't not have ice creams, but if they have an ice cream, they call it what it is. It's let's have an ice cream. Yeah. If they have a treat is like, let's go to the beach together.
Yes.
So she's actually doing an amazing job of separating the word treat from the biscuits and things. Doesn't mean
Wow. So
Um,
she's substituting, if I hear you right, she's substituting a pleasure item, this where we all want pleasure, you know, we all crave. We're addicts at the end of the day. We're humans and we're addicts. We're addicted to television and phones. And where's the next pleasure coming from that's adrenalizing us? And what you're saying is instead of getting that sugar high from ice cream and saying that's my treat, you're saying that she'll say, my treat is now going down to the beach and perhaps walking the dog and standing in the sea and redefining the word treat. Is that what I hear you saying?
Absolutely. So, for example, well, actually, when it comes to children as well, people assume that that is the treat for the children. Whereas having taught for 12 years, I can tell you that some things that are a treat for children, you take in your cardboard box from your washing machine. That was like the ultimate treat. Bubble wrap, going out to the play park. That they appreciate time with people as much as we do, and they appreciate the daft things. And I guess for me, my treats, a lot of them are still food related. But I've brought one of mine here. This is one of my favourites at the moment. I've worked up to it, 100% dark chocolate, which I have my treat a few times a day. That lunch that's waiting for me, that is a treat because it's delicious. And my eggs with a bit of smoked salmon, that's a treat. And it's because I love the taste of it. I look forward to it and I feel good after it. And I really do appreciate that there'll be some people listening to this who are thinking, what a load of rubbish. Because until you have gone down that route, you know, where they think you're choosing the salad to be healthy, or you're choosing this to be, I'm not choosing it to be healthy. I'm choosing it because I like it and it makes me feel good.
I was just going to say, Ellie, that was part of my transition because I was so poisoned from multiple sources. I do implore that anybody who's got ME, and particularly severe, very severe ME as myself, you do need to make these nutritional changes much slower than somebody like yourself, Ellie, who is only transitioning from an unhealthy diet to a healthy diet. So that's something I do want to point out, where the science from Dr. Raymond Perrin, who's helped me, he makes it very, very clear that we need to make those changes perhaps a lot slower, because the detoxification, if you are riddled with toxicity, as ME patients are, the detoxification process, if I open a lid on a box of biscuits, I can't just have two, I have to have all of them. So what would your advice be on that, Ellie?
There's a couple of different things. I guess the two top ones would be, there's something I call like the chain reaction, where let's say you told me you'd eaten the whole pack of biscuits at home last night. So I might ask you, so where were the biscuits? They were in the kitchen. How did the biscuits get into the kitchen? I bought them. So what would be a solution that could have then stopped you getting the biscuits? So a lot of the time we set ourselves up for those, I don't like the word fail, we set ourselves up for those things to happen. So one of my kind of two top choices would be, don't buy what I'm going to call red foods into the house. And red foods are stuff that might be a trigger for you, that if you're emotional, if you're tired, if you're whatever it is, that you might go all out on them and feel rubbish the next day for it. It doesn't mean don't have them. If you fancy ice cream, piece of cake, whatever, go out for a cuppa with your friend. You can order one, have one, you know, or buy the pack of crisps or buy the cookie. But if you're buying multi-packs in that house and then you've eaten the whole multi-pack, I'm going to put this bluntly, you did that. It's called, and it's quite fun doing that one actually, because I don't have to say a lot to do that. I'll just say, oh, how did they get in the cupboard? Oh, I bought them. The other one that I like to do is, you grew up with grown-ups telling you not to play with food. Scrap that. Play with food. One of my favourite things, and it might be the science geek side of me, loves trying to invent different snacks and different puddings. Some turn out better than others. I like to read the labels on the back of things and then create my own healthier version. So I made some kind of protein brownies just with like sweet potato, cocoa, chocolate protein powder. My client favourites are my cookies that I invented, which are literally oats, banana, Again, chocolate protein powder. You can put some chocolate chips in, squidge it into balls, put it in the oven or air fryer. They come out like gooey chocolate chip cookies.
We used to make those, Ellie. I'll just say we used to make those, and yeah, they were delicious. And there's alternative chocolate as well that you can add in, again, for people that are not, eating dairy and things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that idea. And we would substitute those as our biscuits, and there was no sugar in.
So then you're enjoying a biscuit, and it's got the slow release energy from the oats, the quick release energy from the banana. It's got the little bit of chocolatey goodness.
Yes, absolutely. But what I'm hearing you say, which is very empowering for people that are listening today, is use natural food products. And the puddings that we talk about, instead of refined sugar, instead of goodness only knows what else goes into these, anything that's in a box, I say would be what you call a red item. Anything where you open the box up, if you make your own and get used to that process, and if you do have children, then obviously they want to learn how to make healthy biscuits. And if their bodies become accustomed to eating in a particular way, they won't miss the sugar. And one thing Mark and I now say is we genuinely don't miss the sugar. And it's only when there's extreme stress where we think we're missing it, but it's more of a psychological process. And actually, if we even have a little bit of it, we feel very, very sick. So it just goes to show that it's not good for us. But starting from the beginning of the lifestyle changes, Ellie, where do you start from with your clients, and what can you offer them when they do come to you from that very beginning point?
So I start always with a chat to kind of get to the bottom of things a little bit as to what is their why, what have they tried before, what worked about it, what didn't, what their favourite foods are, because that's where you get the bright spots, like I said. And kind of by the end of that call, identifying something that they're already doing or enjoy or would like to do, that literally their first step is embracing. It might even be something they already do. But that starts off that positive mindset in the first steps. And normally the next thing I do is a kitchen assessment. And that is, you can get a full-on clipboard if you want. Go in your kitchen. And I have a sheet and it says green foods, orange foods, red foods. Green foods are the fully natural, that they know are beneficial for their health. This is a personal choice. I never look what they've put. It doesn't matter. It's what you think. The amber kind of orange foods are ones that you think are beneficial. You're not sure. They might be a little bit you're not sure what's in them. And the red foods, like I said, are the ones that you know aren't helpful to you being there. And then not to go and throw everything out, because I hate food waste. But if you start to be aware, it's all about awareness of what green foods you're having, what other green foods you could buy in, then over a period of weeks, your kitchen becomes more what I'm going to call green. And green foods are one, I am never going to sit on the floor in a corner depressed, binging on carrots. Carrots are pretty safe. There's foods that you know that even if you've had the most stressful day, you are not going to sit with a bag of spinach in the corner and binge eat. And if you do, who cares?
Exactly, I was going to say. And that's interesting what you just said about carrots, and also when you talked about we'll call them treats, or the puddings, the desserts, and you include sweet potatoes, because obviously sweet potatoes are a superfood. And we've started making sweet potato slices with a little bit of drizzle of olive oil, and this is in my next book, a drizzle of olive oil, and some of Dr. Sarah Myhill, who's coming on the show soon, some of her so the salt has got lots of beneficial products within it, which boost the body. So we have sliced sweet potato under the grill, drizzle of olive oil, drizzle of salt. And because sweet potato is sweet, when it's made in that way, a lot of people don't like sweet potato, Ellie, because they tend to cook it like a carrot, and it's a bit mushy. Tinker loves that. My little dog Tinker loves that. But for us, we enjoy that with scrambled egg. And that will be our lunch. So you're having it for breakfast, or it could be sometimes substituted as breakfast. And what you're saying is build these sequences of different brilliant superfoods into breakfast, lunch, and dinner and see the difference. And we have found that we're no longer craving. I was hyperglycemic, Ellie, so that's something I really want to reveal today. I was hyperglycemic because my sugar levels were off the chart and my toxicity levels were so extreme. I am no longer hyperglycemic, and it just goes to show that sugar can do that to the system. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I'm just fascinated by these sweet potato slices. I think I need to try this. I'm going to answer your question in a minute, but that goes with egg. That tastes nice.
So yeah, we would have scrambled eggs, maybe a slice of tomato. That's one of my recipes, and it's sliced sweet potato vertically. You can also have sweet potato done little cubes, and you can have a salsa sauce dip with guacamole. That's another option as a main dinner. But the long sliced sweet potatoes, which I used to share on socials, would have a drizzle of olive oil, and then Dr. Sarah Myhill's salt, which is a natural product with all these brilliant boosting nutrients within. And basically under the grill, 20 minutes I think it is, or sometimes 40, depending on how severe you want them cooked. And you've got this incredible food source, and it tastes like biscuits. Once you cut the sugar out, I think that's really important for us both to share, that this is a process, and once your body gets used to it, you taste the sweetness of the blueberries you've shared today. You taste the sweetness of the sweet potato. It's called sweet potato, but most people that I've spoken with say, oh, I don't like sweet potato. And it's largely because they're cooking it just with hot water. And that's lovely. It's still lovely as a mash on the side, but it's what you put with it. So there's the sliced version with the olive oil, the drizzle, and of course olive oil is essential. And Dr. Sarah Myhill talks about that. This is her expertise. You need oil like a car needs oil. We often think we need loads of water, but we need oil. So coconut oil, teaspoon of that. Olive oil drizzled onto these products. Don't cook with olive oil. That's where you cause damage to the body. And get rid of your vegetable oil. Can you tell us a bit more about that? Because vegetable oil is very damaging to the body. You can actually run a car off vegetable oils.
It's a bit of a minefield, isn't it? Because there's so many different kind of studies, and some say that actually you can use olive oil for cooking, but it's if it gets too hot, particular temperatures. I definitely have olive oil a lot, I put it on a baked potato instead of butter, or on a sweet potato as a baked potato. But I guess it's kind of building on your oil point. It's healthy fats, which a lot of particularly women are, I'm going to say, scared of, that fats will make them fat, whereas actually it's proved it'll probably do the opposite. And that the fats, including the olive oil, are essential for our hormone balance. They're essential for vitamin uptake. They're going to make you look and feel younger. They're going to reduce your cravings. And what I find is a good few of the women who say that they shouldn't eat those foods because they're high calories and fat at weekends are quite happy to eat the processed, saturated fats. And
my knowledge with my book, which is it's not rocket science, it's neuroscience. My knowledge and wisdom that I've ascertained over all these years have been poorly from leading professionals like Dr. Sarah Myhill, Dr. Raymond Perrin, Dr. Nigel Spate, who've all been on the channel, is that oil, of course, allows the drainage mechanism to work, Ellie. So we often have a dried up internal gut, because imagine it, and oil is the drainage. So imagine it like performance of an engine. I used to promote in my 20s in London. I used to promote Optimax petrol. So I was like sat in a car next to Michael Schumacher, which I only recently realised it was Michael Schumacher. But the point is, I was somebody that was a promotion girl, and I would promote lots and lots of products in my life as part of my job. And I remember Optimax petrol being something about cleaning your engine. So I became an expert in all these different, toothbrushes, £100 toothbrushes, whatever I was promoting. I would have to research fully first before I went into the garages up and down the UK to promote the petrol, for example. And I learned so much about it. But at that time, unlike your great self here today, you've had your awakening before, your health hit, negative health hit you. I wasn't aware back then that I wasn't putting the right petrol into my own engine. And I think that's really so important about today's podcast, Ellie, because you're inspiring people to take stock today. I hear that a lot on your socials. You don't say wait for something to happen, because if you do, it might be too late. But I want to inspire people to grab hold of you quite literally today, Ellie. Come to see you, come to be inspired by you, because you have taken stock before you became poorly. And just say a little bit more about that, Ellie.
I'll tell you what, actually, I did get to a level that I should have changed earlier, because what I occasionally post on my social media is mentally more than physically, I hit rock bottom. In fact, I probably bounced off the bottom a few times. And at the time, I'm not going to use the word nutrition. It doesn't deserve the word nutrition. What I was on was sugar, pizza, vodka, tequila, alcohol generally, and a lot of it. And then you get into that cycle, because absolutely they are, putting the alcohol aside, even if I just focus on sugar, when you're in school, what you get taught is sugar is bad for your teeth, and sugar is bad for your teeth, and that sugar might make you fat. That's about us. But what nobody fully goes into is that the refined sugar, you eat a sugary snack now. So if I eat like a biscuit or let's say a few biscuits, your blood sugar levels spike. So it goes into your blood sugar very quickly. It could be white bread, it could be white pasta, so quick release carb. Your blood sugar level spikes right up. Your body doesn't see that as safe. So your body produces insulin to pull that sugar out of your blood and store it as fat, because that's safe. Pull it out, store it as fat. However, because you've then had that sudden drop in the blood sugar, your body also sees that as dangerous. Your body produces cortisol, the stress hormone, so your stress levels go up, your blood sugar's down, you're probably feeling out of energy, and that drives you to reach for more sugar, which sends you up on a high again, which sends you back on a crash again. If you then add alcohol into the mix as well, which is fully known as being a depressant, then this is where some people can get stuck, like fully stuck in a cycle. And that cycle can massively spiral. And I'm saying this because there may be people listening who are at that point, and it's saying there are simple ways out, which I wish I'd taken earlier. And the spiral is that the effects that those things have start to impact on relationships.
Yeah.
And I actually lost a lot of very good people. So it massively impacts on relationships. It impacts on jobs. I walked away from a job because I'd had to be signed off, actually, because I wasn't coping with it. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to walk away and start afresh. And actually, that was a little bit of the driver in doing what I do as well, is I'd got stuck in this, and you get out of it for a bit and then you go back in, you get out of it for a bit and you go back in. And it took me relocating. I didn't relocate for that reason, but I relocated, and it's like, oh, nobody knows me here. Nobody knows that I've been up and down. Nobody knows that I have zero confidence in front of adults, that I was not confident walking across a room. If a room had like 5 or 6 adults in, I would actually just feel awkward, which is crazy, because I could stand in front of a hall of 300 kids and do a song and dance. It's like no problem with that. Yeah. And I did this restart, but that's where I went to a coach rather than a counsellor, because I'd had counselling in the past. It works with some people, it didn't work for me. And I went to a coach, and it was all about positive mindset and positive, easy, manageable steps And actually, at that point, once I started seeing a life coach, it became quite easy. And I think the biggest breakthrough was when the coach showed me that I am in control of my own life. And it seems such a ridiculously stupid thing that we go, I can't because I'm busy, I can't because of this, I can't because that. It's like, you are the adult here. There are very few situations that you can't either take control of initially or take control of how you respond to it. And that was like a massive pivot point for me, is you're the adult, you're in control here.
Wow, Ellie, and thank you so much for sharing, because I'm sure that's going to inspire and resonate with a lot of people watching today. So what you're saying is you had this, and we're going to at this moment take you back into your childhood, if that's okay. You had this deep fear of being in a room with adults, and maybe that will become clearer as we talk.
Well, this is my 20s, following from kind of teenage and into my 20s.
Right. Okay. So, and what you're saying is, but you were quite happy to speak to children, and a whole room of them, and you had the confidence there, hence going into primary school teaching. So I want to get a little bit more and unpack a little bit more of where that came from, so that anybody that's feeling and watching you today and saying, that's how I feel. Right, I want to know what caused that, how we can unpack that, and how Ellie got to where she is, because I want to follow in Ellie's footsteps. I want to take back control of my life. And I think that's so empowering, such beautiful words, and very well eloquently expressed, Ellie. And thank you for sharing. So going back into your childhood, Ellie, you say that you moved. Obviously, you're now, where are you based at the moment, Ellie?
Well, the move was literally a couple of years ago. So kind of all of that was in my probably 20s. Yeah, probably mostly my 20s. I moved over from the northeast. And Newcastle's an amazing city. You haven't been, everyone listening, you need to go to Newcastle. I lived in the northeast for nearly 20 years because I went to university at Durham.
So Ellie, taking you back now to your youth and your birth, whereabouts were you born, and what was your inspiration behind where you are today? What were your parents like, and their diet and their health, and how were things for you? So whereabouts were you born, Ellie?
So I was born in Chester. My dad is very much a science geek.
Okay.
I was, in fact, so my mum was in law, and my dad was science. And I was that child who would have the little chemistry kit and do little science experiments, or go and take my pooter trap in the garden and catch mini beasts and then draw them and identify them and keep the dead ones in little drawers if I found a dead butterfly, which really disgusted my sister. But I'm always fascinated, I guess, have been with what things are and how they work and what happens. And I grew up with that. I guess I was never amazing socially. I mean, don't ask me why, just some people are more than others. Socially I wasn't great, or confidence wise, and I think from there, I mean, we were the generation where you eat everything on your plate, and if you give more, you eat all of that, which actually can cause there's nothing wrong with that. It's not wasting food, but down the line you can have that mindset of I need to eat everything that's there. And then you get to high school, and I guess high school, I was in a massive high school with about 250 children per year group, and it was quite a tough high school. And lots of people watching this will know that high school for girls can be, well, maybe for boys, can be quite a tough place, which I guess set my confidence back further.
So just pausing you there, Ellie. So in primary school, you were feeling very, very shy. So whereas I personally was a very confident little girl right from birth, apparently, you had a different personality and you were quite shy. Do you have any siblings, Ellie?
Yeah, I'm middle.
You're the middle. I'm middle as well. Yeah. So, so you are middle child, and just tell me a little bit about your primary school. With you being a primary school teacher, I'm interested to hear what potentially was happening in primary school for you to then become a primary school teacher. It's so interesting what fields we go into that potentially are linked to our childhood. So, what was your primary school years like? What were your primary school years like?
The school was lovely. I mean, I probably kept my, I had a couple of close friends. I wouldn't say that had any link to me going into primary school teaching, because from sometime in primary school till the age of maybe 19, I was dead set on being a vet.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Primary school kind of came at a tangent later.
So what was your personality like as a little girl before you get to high school, Ellie, first of all?
I talk too much. I found stuff funny I shouldn't, so I was kept in at break time a lot, and I was in trouble. But I was absolute rubbish at sports. So anyone who looks at me now and thinks I've always been a sporty person, absolutely not. I couldn't even do a forwards roll. I would kind of start the forwards roll in gymnastics and then flop over sideways. Didn't
what did you excel in? What were your favourite subjects at primary school first?
Probably academically, I did all right. Like, I remember maths always being on the next page on and things like that. So I guess maths and science I've always quite liked, because they're quite like right and wrong and explain.
Okay, so whereas I come from a creative field with English and art and drama, what you're saying is you enjoyed maths and science, and so your brain, with a lawyer for your mum and a scientist for a dad, your brain was very logical minded, which is kind of how you run the rhythm of what you're doing today, which is very interesting to hear where that came from. You get on with it, you get up at 5:30 in the morning today, you go to the gym, so you have quite a logical mindset, and that will obviously empower anybody that's into maths and science to understand, right, this is what we need to do to get to the other side. And I love that. So you basically excelled academically, and then you went to high school.
I don't think I was given the easiest time, but you have your fabulous close-knit group of friends, don't you, that you stick together and look after each other. But yeah, I wouldn't say that high school was my favorite time, but I think you get to year 10 and you pick your subjects and you get into the classes of people that are more on a level with you.
Yes, absolutely. And as you're going through high school, I'm assuming then you're doing very well academically, and that's your focus. Is that right? Did you do any other activities outside of school?
I would say that yes, I would say I'd started high school doing very well academically, which was my downfall because it's not a good look. So I started working a little bit less by year 10 because I found you were given an easier time if you didn't come out top of the class.
Oh, Ellie, that's such a shame.
Honestly, I did music. I got up to grade 8 violin. I was violin, piano, rubbish at sports, quite I can't speak, academic. And then I had this horrendous haircut, like Lego people have with the thick fringe so I had Lego hair, and you think no wonder I had a hard time of it. Yes.
Ellie, isn't it interesting how we perceive ourselves and how others don't perceive ourselves like that, because we're all insecure at that time in our lives, all of us, and as we age those things don't matter so much, but certainly in our teenage years it's all about, or it was in our generation, all about looks and how we're perceived and worrying about fitting in. There's a lot of that going on, isn't there, in high school?
There is, and you kind of try to do what it takes to blend in, which is a shame. But I needed to do well in the sciences to do what I needed to do.
Yes.
There were things I needed to kind of stick with.
Well, I'm really proud of you because you obviously excelled in these subjects, and despite the bullying or the whatever was occurring there from being so educated, which is great. So I want you today to encourage people who are going through those things not to give up on their studies, because our studies, we may not think we need them at that particular time in our lives, but I agree with you, Ellie. I got my studies as well, and they are a fantastic tool that you may not need them today, or you may be 40 when you change your career as you did, and you may say, well, actually now I need that, I wish I'd learnt about it. So how would you encourage the youth of today, Ellie, to focus on the studies no matter what bullying or negative circumstances they are going through at high school?
I think it's getting the balance, because some people are naturally stronger with different things. So you will get those who absolutely excel in sports but find math, science challenge it. It's not their thing. They don't enjoy it. They don't like it. And fair enough. It's the do your best thing, isn't it?
Yes.
And then the others who are really good at it, but will sit back because they're worried that they don't look cool doing it. But actually wait till 10 years down the line when they're high flying. And but that does not need to come from finding it easy or being academic. I think it's the attitude behind it. So the people who try their best in school will hopefully be the people who try their best as an adult, that whether you got a D, E in your maths GCSE or whether you got an A, the attitude you take through life is what gets you places. And
100%. I love that. I love that you've said that, Ellie. I think that's very well expressed, because not everybody has your abilities, is what you're saying, your gifts. I call them gifts. I am not a fan of maths, but I did get my GCSE and everything, but I'm not a big fan of it. But I have a family of mathematicians, so that was an interesting switch. But English is my subject, and I adore English, and hence writing the book. So all the things that you learn in your high school, whatever your prerequisites to your future, hold on to those, embrace them, whatever your talents are, and enjoy them. And that rhythm will take you through to the next stage. So what you're saying is grab hold of what your gifts are and don't be afraid to express those and shine in those. Is that right?
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, it can be. I've got a silver medal in the Northern Women's Archery Championships. There's a point to me saying that. I thought, you know what, I'm not good at sports, but if I find a sport that nearly nobody does, I can be good at that. So find things which are great fun. But whatever it is that you like, whether it's cookery, whether it's, sport, whether it's maths. I had a really inspiring talk at an event I went to last week by a lady who, because of her culture, she'd always wanted to be a chef, but her culture pushed that being a chef was being a stay-at-home wife and mum. And they said, look, you can cook, there you go, kind of there's the kitchen. And it took her till into her 40s to go, you know what, this is what I'm good at. I am going to be a chef. In fact, I'm going to have my own restaurant. So fighting whatever battles it takes to do what you love and do what you're good at.
I like that, Ellie. I love that. That's really, really good. And so you're hearing from different clients all these inspirational stories as well, which is superb. You're inspiring them, then they're inspiring others, which is what it's like. Pay it forward. So you're in your teenage years, and what did you do next, Ellie?
So I did my A-levels. I attempted to do biology, chemistry, physics and maths, and it turns out A-level maths, I had no idea what was going on. And you need to be predicted all A's to apply to vet school. I was doing all the work experience. I worked in 3 different vet surgeries, just work experience. I spent 3 months as a parrot and penguin keeper at Chester Zoo for zoo experience, which was the best job ever. But I wasn't getting A's. I was getting predicted A's and B's, which isn't good. It's not good enough for that. So I restarted after lower 6th in a different school, in a private school this time, who were known for being very good at science. This time I did biology, chemistry, physics and music. Did get A's in all 4, but unfortunately applying to vet school is based on predictions, not what you get. And I had an A-level physics teacher. I was the only girl in the class. It had been an all-boys school previously. He didn't believe girls should do physics. He wouldn't budge on predicting me a D. I couldn't apply to vet school. So that was that one.
Wow. Well, the truth is their loss is our gain. You know, any customer now coming to you, had you gone down that route, they may not have been able to transform their lives. So there's always a reason, Ellie. I always say, you know, all the good, the bad and everything that happens to us, I believe there's always a path and a reason why things happen. But very sad that he basically stole one of your dreams. That's not very good, is it? And what would you learn from that? What would you learn from the fact that he took away that opportunity for you? What would you say, you know, you would advise people in the future in that situation?
I think that, I mean, like you said, it's everything happens for a reason. I've heard it's a very stressful job, but it showed me that as a teacher, or even just as a human generally, the power you can have, whether positive or negative, over other people. It might not even be people you know, but the words you say can make such a massive impact on other people's lives. And some comment, that didn't massively affect me, but it did kind of teach me that that how you speak to people. If somebody, and this is slightly off on a tangent, I know that if someone is on the street, homeless, begging, asks for money, if I don't have money, I'll say I don't have any money, but I will always acknowledge them and always speak to them, and they'll always say thank you for that, because someone has acknowledged them. Or if someone's walking along the street, I might say a random hi to them, because you could be the only person who's talked to them that day. That might give them a boost. That might give them the boost to go for a job interview. It might, it's that butterfly effect, isn't it?
Yes, I like that, Ellie. I am accused of talking to strangers all the time. And I love that. I am a big smiler like yourself as well, and I think that's so important. I like to say hello to anybody I pass at any time, as you're doing, and you're absolutely right. That's how we should be living. That's the community. That's the commune in community, and we often can lose that. Certainly when I lived in London for 10 years and you're racing onto the tube and off again, I think at some points people were laughing because I'd be saying hello to the person next to me, and then you realise, oh no, you don't say hello. So it's quite interesting. That's a generalisation, of course, but if we can bring that back and stop racing through life, I think I hear you saying, and make sure that we make time for people, but learn from the bad things that have happened to us or the negative situations, and make sure that we make positive changes for others moving forwards. So you get these qualifications, and you obviously then feel you can't, or you were told that you can't then become a vet. So what did you do next, Ellie?
So then I had a bit of a chuck the toys out the basket. I'm not even going to go to university, and I was persuaded otherwise. So I did a zoology degree, because why not?
Yeah, why not?
I mean, I like science. I like biology. It involved a field trip to South Africa.
Wow.
Part of one of the practical assessments was going pond dipping. I mean, what's not to love about that for a degree?
Fantastic. And what did you learn in that subject, Ellie, for anyone who doesn't know much about it?
So when you do Bachelor of Science, you kind of do biology, but you can specialise in different things. So there's botany, or you can specialise in, different areas. So I did the zoology because it was logical, coming from having the vet brain on to doing animal. But it covered all sorts of, like, related to humans, even like tropical diseases, animal behaviour, how the brain works, all sorts. I mean, I was a student at the time. I'm not going to claim I took everything. I'm not going to claim I took everything at the time. But that obviously has led on to what I do now. And actually, I'm a big believer now in every day's a school day. And I've done another course this year, and then I'm taking it on to the next level, which is looking at diseases and the effect that we can have through our nutrition on the health of our body, which comes round to what you're fascinated by.
Absolutely. Go on, say a little bit more, Ellie.
Well, I haven't started that yet. It's just one that I'm looking at doing next. But this year I added another qualification, which was as a master health coach through Precision Nutrition, which is really going more in depth into mindset work. And getting people to reframe things like the chain reaction that I talked about before, things like the taking control. Because actually, if you get people to sit down and write down, right, this is your goal. What about your health are you in control of? Are you a little bit in control of? And are you not at all in control of? And what's really annoying about that task, because I did it myself, is annoyingly, you find it really hard to put anything in the not at all in control of box, which means you have control, which means you need to get on with it.
Okay, right. That's your logical mindset, getting from A to B, 2 + 2 = 4, just do it, which I love. So you have that huge drive. Now, what I also want to ask you is, did you ever go through any, obviously you had the emotional circumstance, and maybe that was symbiotic with your diet choices. what has your weight been like, Ellie, in terms of how you look, how you feel, and your mindset combined? Or have you always had this very slender physique that you have today? Have you had any eating disorder issues? We've discussed this on the channel before. Have you ever had any sort of negative relationship with food that has also led you to this point today?
So interestingly, sometimes I post like old pictures of me on Facebook, and I mean, particularly my partner was shocked. He didn't know what to make of it because I look so big, but actually it's a picture, mostly it's pictures of my face. There don't seem to be many I've got of all of me, but I actually wasn't that big. I was maybe a size 12, like a good size 12. But I think it came more down to what I was eating, which was the foods like the pizza and alcohol, which make you very probably puffy, bloated, and look a completely different size. Certainly, I've been through every eating pattern going. I have definitely secret eating, binge eating, laxatives, cutting out carbs, counting calories. Yeah, I was known at university though for we'd eat in halls first year. So I'd eat my plate, and then even my 6'3" friend guys would push their leftovers to me because they knew I hated seeing waste. So I would literally clear, and it wasn't too big. I was never gone big.
What I'm hearing you say is you loved eating food, and that actually resonates with me because I also went through a phase of being bigger than I am today, and I think, you know, as with particularly alcohol, in my opinion, I think alcohol is a huge calorie intake and often overlooked because it's a drink. There's a lot of sugar in there as well as lots of toxins. But obviously, as you quite rightly said, when we take back control of our health, then we break all these food, what we call food products or drink products. Are they drinks? You know, is a orange in a shop, I won't say any named products, is that actually good for you, or is it more sugar than anything else? And so even what we think is a natural health product, I had to learn the hard way, and I'm sure you did, isn't. So that's interesting as well. But it's what I found, Ellie, having gone to the depths that I did, what I have learned is it's not the size and shape that we are, it's how healthy. How can we combat that? And I think you embody that today with what your work is, Ellie, and driving people to your channel and to you, Ellie Clarke, because you shine, and you also show us that you came from a big drinking backdrop and a poor diet, lots of starch, lots of high fat, high sugar, the wrong nutrients. And you can only last so long, as I know, on this planet if you live a particular way like that. Now, what I have discovered is that my parents and my grandparents, because their microbiome was back in the day, they didn't call it organic food back then, Ellie. They just called it food, as I say in my book. Yeah. So because everything was much healthier and we didn't have all the glyphosates and all the phosphates and all the other eights that are sprayed and chemicals onto our food products, even the healthy ones, they had a healthier gut biome. And what I'm seeing, and I'm sure you are, is a cycle of sickness going from our generation to the next generation to the next, and people are getting sicker and sicker. How would you, with your wisdom and your science backdrop, how would you encourage people or educate people just exactly how important it is to make these changes today, as you call it, make them today? How would you encourage people?
I mean, firstly, it is a tricky one because my top advice is to buy whole foods and, you know, real fruit, real veg, meats, foods in their natural state, because it's the processed foods that cause the most problems. But then, as you said, we do have all the issues with most stuff isn't organic. It's quite hard to find organic. I mean, it's doing the best you can with what you can. But yeah, I think it's trying to look at the big picture of life. And for me, one of the reasons I say I want to prioritize my health is because I like living life to the full. I I like traveling. I like, my last trip, I went and chucked myself off a cliff and did that good jump and Angel's Landing and going hiking and doing all this.
Hang on. What was the jumping off the cliff? Explain.
I mean, not quite a cliff. It was Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe. I went to Zimbabwe for 3 weeks.
Wow.
I did 2 weeks volunteering, and then I had kind of 5 days by myself, Victoria Falls. And I thought, while in Victoria Falls, I actually did it as a bit of a test because I'd taken a big jump with quitting my career and starting a business. And I thought, I'm trying to teach people to take a leap of faith. So I thought, this is a great way to demonstrate it. So you get harnessed up and you go off this thing on the edge, and it's like a 70-meter free fall, and then the rope catches you and you swing. But I just thought it was quite a good way to demonstrate what I wanted people to do in life.
And that shows just how far you've come, because I couldn't do that. I'm afraid
I could do that.
But well done. That's amazing. And how did you feel? What was the process like?
Amazing. Well, I'll tell you what helped is you get harnessed up, and because it's like an elasticy pull, it's not quite a bungee, but it's like that. Basically, I didn't think I'd be able to do it. And what the man said is, he said, once I unclip this off your back, whether you like it or not, you're kind of pinging off. So that helped that. But actually, it was the most alive I've ever felt in my life when I got to the bottom and realised I was still good. And it's such a weird, I did that, and I did the Devil's Pool the day before, where you kind of hang over the edge of the falls. But I'm a big believer in doing things that are out your comfort zone, and I appreciate that that's slightly different level to someone having a yogurt for breakfast, but it's still the same point that you're not going to move forward until you do things out your comfort zone. And I know what you asked originally is why should people make that change now? And you just think, what do I want my life to look like? Do I want to be able to go out with my kids? Do I want to be able to take them on holiday and get on a plane? Because I know a lot of people that they have joint problems, they've got weight problems, they've got heart problems, but they're down to their nutrition and their weight initially. So do I want to be able to live life, or do I want to get to a position where, I guess if we're being blunt, I'm being looked after by someone and I haven't got a lot of mobility? That may happen anyway, it may happen to me, but if it happens, it won't be because I haven't put the right things in place myself.
So it's finding the balance, Ellie. I'm sure you agree. So you are being revitalized at these 5:30 a.m. Fantastic workouts that you're able to do. But how would you encourage somebody that isn't at your physical health level? Perhaps somebody who's like myself, that's poorly, or somebody that's been used to being quite stagnant in their lives. How would you encourage them to get to where you are today, Ellie? Because I think that would help a lot of people.
Well, firstly, if they're like you, then I can't see them right now, but you have a little personal trainer in the room with you.
Yeah.
So it's things like I said, it's keeping it simple and going, well, what can you do? There'll be something you can do. And it massively comes down to the nutrition. And you've shown that even though you have better energy days and probably lower energy days, if I'm right, that you're getting those smoothies in and you're keeping the consistency. And it is about consistency. And on the days you're struggling more, last week I got some of the bugs going around. It was cough, sore throat. And I was so frustrated because I said to my partner, I can't be ill. It's not a good look. It doesn't help business. And then I thought, it still happens. I'm still human. But through that, when I was struggling with certain things and I had a day off the gym, I could still get a decent breakfast in. I could still have some decent snacks. I could still have, and I've spoken to people who are, they're wheelchair bound all the time. But actually, there's a lot you can do within that. And there will be things that you can enjoy eating that will start to up-level your energy even from there.
100%. That is exactly right, Ellie. And as I say, Dr. Sarah Myhill's going to embellish on that more when she comes on the channel soon. And the point is, she advocates a high protein breakfast. And that's something I'm hearing you're saying as well. Now, I'm a smoothie person for breakfast because I enjoy, as I say, the mix. There's protein in there, of course, as well, but I love everything is natural in my food source. But as you quite rightly said, once you start to eliminate and it becomes completely normal, there is nothing more normal for me than having that smoothie for breakfast. It is, I love it. I look forward to it. I can't wait to eat it, and I feel completely full and revitalized after it. And as I say, I then have my eggs and sweet potatoes for my lunch, for example. And then if you are away for the day, if you're going to work, it's a case of getting a rice dish with your chili and your ginger and your turmeric, which are all immune boosting products, aren't they? You take us through a few more of those immune boosting products, because once you get the nutrition in when you are in a wheelchair or you are bedbound, as I was, slowly your cells can start to replenish the natural way. And eventually, as I know, because I was in a wheelchair, bit by bit, you can get out of that wheelchair. So take us further with the benefits, Ellie.
Well, the strength is a huge thing. And what I see all the time is women, particularly women who are dieting, but women generally, who don't get enough of the protein in. And from your 30s, your muscle is starting to degenerate naturally. So we need to put a little bit more in, effort-wise, to maintain and build that muscle and that strength. So yes, a lot of people have quite a high carb diet, and actually we don't need the starchy carbs. You know, you have all kind of natural carbs, don't you? We don't need them. And again, it's been shown that women kind of 40s, maybe upwards, menopause age, find it harder to digest carbs, which is where you get the bloating and things. So if you can just focus on a natural diet where you're getting the protein to support your muscle, which supports your strength. I mean, part of immunity, of your immune system, is your cells. Protein is key building block of your cells. So
yeah,
and then just getting that really big range of vegetables, fruits. This is where people overcomplicate. Just the real natural foods. That's
basically
with all the vitamins. I'm trying to put it in the most simple possible.
yes.
Just get the basic nutrition in, which provides all the vitamins and the minerals and the proteins that your body can build and function and repair.
Now, I also at this moment want to make you smile by saying my father, who is now in his 82nd year, he is the opposite. And he loves his cream teas. He's known for his cream and jam. And he's just been recently with my Auntie Joan, his sister, to Devon. And every day was a photograph with another cream tea. And he loves his red wine. And he says, red wine's good for you. I've seen it on the Mediterranean diet. Now, he is a very happy man. And he loves his food, his sugary snacks. His counter argument to me, which is quite comical, was, well, you were a health guru, well, you were a fitness person, let's say. I was in the gym, caning it in the gym every single day. I was a dancer, I was a ballerina, I was exerciseaholic. And he said, and you collapsed at age 39, so you're a prime example of what not to do.
I'll tell you what, I've got a match for that, because my gran lived till, was she 97? About a year ago. She was 97. She was going to fitness classes, I think, into her 80s. She was still driving. She'd still have a walk every day. She'd go and play bridge and Scrabble, I think, into her 80s. She loved sugary snacks. But what I'm thinking is, going back to a previous point you made, firstly, I'd say if someone's that age and they want to eat and drink what they want, you like to sherry, have what you want. I mean, if you've got to that age, amazing. But I guess they grew up in the generation where food wasn't organic food because it was food, where food was home cooked. So when they were growing and developing, they were probably on good food.
I want to say exactly that, Ellie. That is exactly the point. His microbiome, which is built in childhood, as you know, was already pretty solid. And I'm finding that with neighbours, because I live in with a lot of elderly in the community, and they are indestructible. So what have they got? And I 100% agree with you. What they had was natural, what we call organic, wholesome foods in their youth. And perhaps that is the magic ingredient that we are missing today. Why are children today constantly sick? what is going on, what is the change, and diet is a part of that jigsaw. It's not all of it, but it's certainly, I believe, an integral part of that jigsaw, because we have to eat every single day. We have to survive. So you wouldn't put knowingly a poisonous product onto your plate and eat it if you knew it was poisonous, and yet we do. So how would you encourage people to be more mindful of their food? And you had a little exciting exercise, because I've got some food sat next to me here waiting for this magic moment, Ellie. So you guide us into that now.
Yeah, before that, I mean, it is scary, isn't it, with kids? I saw a little girl who looked about 5 walking out of Tesco with a grown-ups a little while ago, and she was eating a bag of mini donuts as if they're a bag of crisps. And you're thinking, she's teeny, that bag's already bigger than her stomach. It's pure sugar, and it's a lack of knowledge. And it's one of these things where I have to keep my mouth shut unless it's the appropriate moment where someone's told me I can open my mouth. But I did do family workshops locally over the summer just to look at what they enjoy, to taste new things. And
so there's a lack of education. What I hear you saying there, Ellie, which is so profound, there's a lack of education about how do we enjoy our food, because I don't want to lose you and run out of time. So how would you encourage us today with a little experiment to enjoy our food, no matter what our background?
Absolutely. Well, what tends to happen is, I bet a lot of people, if they think now of what they've eaten already, today, they'll have inhaled some food. They wouldn't be able to tell us what it tasted like, whether they enjoyed it, especially if it's kind of a chocolate, you unwrap it, you shove it in your mouth, you swallowed it, you don't know. In fact, if it's okay, I've got a little 2-minute body scan we could do first.
Yeah.
Just to get you thinking, because if when you eat, you're just in a more relaxed state, and you acknowledge your food a little bit more. I'm not saying do the body scan first. This is just something for people to have a go at. So just while you're sitting there, I just want you to think about how you feel. How do your eyes feel first? What are they doing? How do your ears feel? And then what are you feeling in your jaw? Are you clenching your jaw? Is it relaxed? Then think about how you're holding your head. Is it pushed forward? Is it back? Is it tilted to one side? Then think about your chest, as to whether your chest is tight or whether it's open. And think down to your shoulders. Are they pushed forward? Are they hunched or tight? And then can you feel a breeze on your face? Is it warm in the room? Can you feel your top, like on your arms? And what you can do with that, because I know we've got limited time now, is every now and then just stop. And even if you just think, how are my shoulders feeling now? And just by saying how are my shoulders feeling now, I've relaxed a bit. How is your chin? Just be aware. But to have a go, we're going to have a think about mindful eating as to actually being aware of your eating. And I was actually shown to do this with a raisin, and I think it's the first time I'd properly tasted a raisin in my life. It tasted different. So with a bit of food, I'll tell you what I've discovered recently. I don't ever eat bars, but I've discovered they're called gut stuff from Tesco's, and if you read the nutrition label, they're completely natural, just like dried fruit.
I'll get mine here. I've got pistachios. So that is my snack, because very often when we are sick, and very sick in my case, we have too much sugar and too much inflammation in the gut. So the gut biome is compromised. And so when we switch a sugary environment, which is your inflammation markers, for a salt, and we're talking healthy Himalayan sea salt and other healthy salt choices, not your standard table salt, pistachios, salted pistachios, are a very good way of having a snack, because it takes forever to open them, Ellie. So I highly recommend those to anybody who is dieting or coming to you for not a diet, but a lifestyle change. They're fantastic. You break your nails often, but if you're watching television at night, what a fantastic way as an alternative food product to chocolate itself, because you're then putting the salt back into the gut, which it so desperately needs to heal. So I'll pass back to you. Go on.
I love that. Brilliant. And the reason I've kind of gone for a bar, I'd normally do this with like a strawberry or something, is because let's say you're watching this, you could be doing it with a biscuit. You could be doing it with like a celebrations chocolate. It doesn't matter. It's about actually being aware of what you're eating. Because if you don't take the time, your digestive system doesn't kick in properly. You don't get the nutrition out of whatever you're eating anyway. So you're going to end up eating more. So when you're eating something, just first think about what it smells like. If you're doing this at work, you're going to look very odd. But think about, has it got a smell to it? But it's quite fun. I love making people laugh by being odd sometimes. So, and then I'm going to have to not do this because I'm talking. If you put it into your mouth and just start thinking about, what is the texture like? Is it crunchy? Is it soft? Is it a melt on your tongue kind of food? Or is it something you could start chewing it a bit more? And you can actually, even when you put stuff in your mouth, you can get a sense of the smell. And just really take your time. And the way I described this to clients recently is, if you remember the M&S adverts, where they do everything in slightly slow motion and it would just look so much more delicious and so much more tasty, I say eat it like you're doing an M&S advert and get every bit of taste and flavour out of it. And when you're doing that, and when you're mindfully eating, and this is something you can do with your lunches today, with your dinners, the biggest thing I would say is don't put any more into your mouth until there is nothing left of the previous one, or the previous spoonful, or the previous forkful. And by doing that as well, you register more quickly as to when you're full. Quite often we stuff ourselves past full because we've eaten too fast for our body to register. We get more nutrition out of it because we potentially chewed it better. We're going to get less bloating because we've broken it down more. And we actually really taste that food. And what you may find with that as well is some of the more processed foods stop tasting quite so good. And some of the natural foods, that flavour, you can finally really taste it because you're getting the taste. And just this simple exercise, if you are looking to boost your health, so even if you are underweight, you're going to get more nutrition, and we go back to immune system, you're going to get more nutrition out of it if you eat more slowly and mindfully. If you are looking to lose weight, there's been studies done that show that without making any other conscious changes, by slowing down your eating and finishing a mouthful before you eat again, that people can consume like a few hundred calories less a day just because they're aware of what they're eating. So I would say, actually, if you were to do one thing, slow down the eating of one meal or one snack today.
So what I'm hearing you say is have mindful eating. So if they take away one thing today, it's mindful eating. And it's a way that historically we used to eat. It would be 30 chews per mouthful was a conventional way to eat, often because women were in corsets. So obviously they couldn't eat the way that we do today. Now, we don't recommend that at all. You definitely don't want to constrict the body, and absolutely not. But the most important thing is to enjoy the process of the food. Look at the colours, you're saying, look at the textures. They say have a colourful rainbow of food products on your plate as well, and try different things, because things that I didn't resonate with, perhaps beetroot for me personally was something I didn't particularly used to enjoy eating in its cooked form on a plate, and the same with sweet potato. Over these years, I found different ways of eating it. So I now put my beetroot, as soon as I knew it helped gallbladder, and many women get gallbladder issues, and it can be genetic. So instead of having my gallbladder removed, which sadly was something my mum had to do, I thought, well, how can I combat this through diet? So instead of having mine removed, which I nearly had to have, I decided to put beetroot into the diet. And I'm not saying that alone has done it. Obviously, it's a multifaceted approach, as I say, with Dr. Perrin's drainage system. But by putting the right nutrients into our body and knowing that each one is serving the brain. For example, the antioxidants in your blueberries that you're about to have for your lunch are incredible for brain function and things. So all the things and the wisdom and the science backdrop that you have as to what these products are good for, enjoy them. Is that right? You take us further.
Absolutely. So awareness when you're physically eating that product, but also an awareness in your choices. And a sentence which is quite good is to say, I mean, to yourself, not out loud necessarily, I'm choosing this because, and it will make me feel this, because that actually also makes some of the less beneficial choices harder. If you're saying I'm choosing it because of this and it will make me feel this, well, I'm choosing this because I'm in a rush and it'll make me feel a bit rubbish tomorrow. Slightly takes the enjoyment off that choice.
I love that, Ellie. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful way to end today. So your words and your powerful words are, I'm choosing this because. What I've taken away from today as well is be mindful about your choices. Have a look at the colours on the plate, greens in particular, as you highlight in your embodiment of today. And also, enjoy healthy eating, because we seem to look at healthy eating as being over there and somebody else is doing it, which is kind of, as I said, my father's vision of it. I'm not saying he doesn't get healthy nutritional foods into his diet from my mum as well, but I am saying that he is somebody who has a sweet tooth, and I certainly picked up that link when I was younger. I'm sure most of us do. But once you remove those sweet choices, but put healthy sweet choices, I cannot tell you how lovely the sweet potato with a drizzle of olive oil and salt is for on a daily basis. I mean, sweet potato is such a superfood. You can have that as much as you want. Just be mindful, of course, to everybody, that particularly if you have hyperglycemia, as I did, be mindful of a slow transition. So whereas somebody coming to you who doesn't have an underlying very severe health condition where we can't detoxify properly, will be able to change the diet and reap rewards instantly in weeks and months. For me personally, it has taken all of these years to build up slowly. And but you're saying don't feel guilty for having those snacks. My dad doesn't need to feel guilty for having a cream tea. The fact that he's survived on a lifetime of cream teas, all credit to him. But what you're saying is, go on, you pass on. What are you saying to him and to everybody in that position?
For him, I'm just saying enjoy it, because why not?
Ellie, don't say that. We're trying to give him an extra 10 years.
Not too much. But for everything else, it's not turning everything upside down, but it's just thinking, if we're getting a few of those healthy choices in, imagine the difference that could make to my mental health, to my life overall going forward. Because at the risk of sounding cheesy, changing your nutrition, even partially, can literally change your life.
Yeah, you get better sleep, better skin. You don't have to go to the dentist.
More confidence, like I said, that can affect your job. I mean, I wouldn't have come into this. I wouldn't have started my own business eating and drinking the way I was previously, because my mental health and my confidence wouldn't have allowed it.
Wow. So you're saying, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, that your mental clarity starts to improve, which is all part of healing. Whether you're diagnosed as being sick or you're just sick but not aware of it. So your mental clarity improves, your ability to sustain and retain energy at a time on the planet at the moment where we're all lacking, it seems, in energy and fatigue symptoms. So you're saying all these positive benefits are what people can gain from changing their diet. And finally, how can people find you, Ellie? How can people find you?
So I feel like I'm everywhere at the moment. I am on Facebook as Ellie Ultimate Health. I'm on Instagram and LinkedIn as Ultimate Health by Ellie. I am branching into YouTube, but I will keep you posted how that goes. And my wellness shows that I've started running on the Fylde Coast have started to become a regular thing. So I would love to see people in person at those. So if you find me online, I can direct you to those.
And you've worked with Anna Bianchi and Sally Fazeli, who have already been on our channel. So you're making links with these wonderful healers and different practitioners of health and well-being. And you also embody that as well. So if anybody wants to come and find you, what's your link? I know you're on Facebook and other socials, but do you have a direct link to you, Ellie?
I have got my website, which is Ultimate Health by Ellie hyphenated, and on there's a button you can click. You can come straight to my phone.
Fantastic. Well, that's amazing. And I'm sure you're going to get a lot of people now very intrigued by today, because we all just need one person. That's all it takes to share a story and encourage somebody and to say, you had the same lifestyle choices and you chose to turn them around, and all for the greater good, not just mindset but physical health, but also socially as well. And you've now got the ability to stand in a room, as you said, you felt afraid to talk to adults, and so you work with children, and I saw you, and you could stand in a room with lots of people giving a lecture and advising people about what you offer. Ellie Clarke, an absolute pleasure to talk to you today and have you on to today's podcast. I hope to see you again very, very soon. God bless, and thank you so, so much for being on today's channel. Thank you, Ellie, for your time. Bye-bye, love.
Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye, love. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.